Hello, this is Kevin reading the Providence Journal for October 23rd, 2024. First article by Antonia Nouri Farzan. Narragansett Town Beach made more money this year, but is it unfriendly to out-of-towners? Narragansett. Narragansett Town Beach had a profitable summer, officials said this week, while also defending themselves against charges of exclusivity. When people insinuate that Narragansett Town Beach is unfriendly or unwelcoming to non-town residents, that is absolutely untruthful, Recreation Director Michelle Kershaw said at a public works session on Monday, where she presented the beach's annual year in review to the town council. While the beach is town-owned, roughly 40% of visitors are non-residents, she pointed out. We really are welcoming, agreed Dennis Lynch, a member of the town's Recreation Advisory Board. This year, overall attendance numbers were estimated at 198,103, an increase from last year. That means roughly 80,000 non-residents visited the beach, Lynch said. I defy anyone to find another town beach anywhere in coastal New England that has 80,000 non-town residents, and we do welcome them, he said. They must like it because it's fairly expensive to go to our beach if you're not a town resident. Narragansett Town Beach made more money without fees going up. While audited figures aren't available yet, Kershaw said on Monday that Narragansett Town Beach saw increased revenue this past summer. Previously, last year, I had said that I was very concerned that we were on a trend where possibly we weren't going to have any revenue, so I'm happy to report that I was incorrect, she said. Admission and parking fees did not go up this year, but the cost of renting a cabana or locker did, and the town stopped selling commercial transferable beach passes to hotels and Airbnbs. There were only 4 days this summer when the beach didn't charge admission due to heavy rain, Kershaw said. Additionally, she said, there were no serious incidents or arrests. 10 juveniles were cited for fraudulent commercial transferable beach passes. The west parking lot, which is open to non-residents, filled up 24 times this summer, Kershaw said. The north lot, which is only for town residents and taxpayers, was full on 6 occasions. The south lot, similarly, only filled 5 times and was open to non-residents on 15 weekdays over the course of the summer. What's next? Earlier this year, Narragansett commissioned a carrying capacity study that concluded that the beach is not overcrowded and, in fact, rarely approaches capacity. The study also made a number of recommendations, such as installing live video feeds so that people can get a sense of how busy the beach is before they leave home. Another top priority that came out of the study, Kershaw said, is restoring the dunes. The one thing the study doesn't tell us is how we do that, she said, noting that the town would need professional scientific guidance. We can't just dump buckets of sand on the dunes and hope for the best. Will Narragansett Town Beach parking and admission fees go up? One topic that the work session did not cover, whether Narragansett should increase beach parking and admission fees for summer 2025. That will be discussed early next year, officials indicated. Next article by Katie Mulvaney. He triggered Rhode Island's banking crisis. Now, Mollicone's restitution payments were just lowered. Providence. A Superior Court magistrate has declared Joseph Mollicone Jr., the once fugitive embezzler, whose theft triggered Rhode Island's banking crisis in violation of his probation for failing to pay his monthly restitution payments in full. Magistrate Gina Lopez revoked 81-year-old Mollicone's good time credits for failing to make payments, meaning he will now be under probation an additional 7 years and 9 months through 2033. His term had been set to expire in 2025. Lopes also precluded Mollicone from earning good time credits in the future that would shave time off his supervision. Assistant Attorney General J. Patrick Youngs III moved this summer to have Mollicone found in violation of his probation. While he has made monthly payments, he has consistently made payments significantly less than what was imposed by the court, Youngs said. In a recent letter, Lopes also reduced Molocone's monthly restitution payments toward the approximately $11.9 million he owes to Rhode Island from $270 to $70 according to court records. Mollicone tried to have his payments reduced before. Last year, Mollicone appealed to Lopes to reduce his monthly payments, citing increased costs across the board. His then lawyer, Louise M. Pulner, told the court that Mollicone was experiencing a budgetary shortfall each and every month and had incurred added expenses, including $1,900 for hearing aids, unforeseen car repairs, and skyrocketing utility costs. Lopez, who presides over the cost, fines, and restitution calendar, said last year that she could not reward Mollicone by decreasing the monthly sum when there were victims out there still impacted by his crimes. The state had objected to a reduction at that time. Restitution payments should hurt, Young said. I think he should try his best. Mr. Mollicone will never pay it off, Youngs acknowledged. What happens to Mollicone's restitution payments? Mollicone has made payments regularly since his release from prison in 2002, often delivering it to the court himself. That money then heads to the State Division of Taxation and then into the general fund, according to state officials. Court records show Mollicone's monthly payments dropping over time from $300 in 2019 to as low as $50. His last two payments were $70 in September and October. In total, he has paid about $54,000, according to Lexi Chris, spokeswoman for the courts. Joseph Mollicone's role in Rhode Island's banking crisis. Mollicone's theft from Heritage Loan and Investment Co. helped spark the state's plunge into the worst banking crisis since the Great Depression. It was estimated that 1 out of every 3 Rhode Islanders was impacted by his theft at the time of his crimes. He began stealing from Heritage Loan as bank president in the mid-1980s after inheriting it from his father. He skimmed an estimated $15.2 million altogether, though he was prosecuted for $12 million in losses. Mollicone fled to Salt Lake City in November 1990 as his scheme was about to be revealed and authorities closed in. He lived in Utah under the name John Fazioli, a childhood acquaintance who died just before Mollicone left the state. He posed as a Boston jewelry maker who headed to the mountains to ski and relax. Heritage Loan failed, taking down the entire Rhode Island share and deposit indemnity corporation system, the private insurer for most of the state's credit unions. Depositors were out hundreds of millions of dollars. The state eventually borrowed up to $350 million to reimburse them. Mollicone surrendered in April 1992. A jury convicted him a year later of 5 counts of embezzlement, 19 counts of filing false bank entries, and 2 counts of conspiracy. A judge imposed the harshest sentence ever to a white-collar criminal in Rhode Island, 40 years in prison with 30 years to serve, restitution of $12 million to the state, and a $420,000 fine. Next article by Wheeler Copperthwaite. We asked readers which building they wanted to see in downtown Providence. Here's what they picked. Key points. A total of 586 people voted in our poll, which had all 9 designs submitted to the I-195 Redevelopment District Commission. There was one clear winner, garnering nearly 50% of the vote, the pointy towers of the proposed Providence Art and Design Center. Coming in second with 20% of the vote was a curvy design inspired by Providence's pedestrian bridge for a combination hotel and condos above retail. Providence. Earlier this month, the Providence Journal asked readers, what's your favorite design for the 1.5-acre spot in downtown Providence across the street from Trader Joe's? A total of 586 people voted in our poll, which had all 9 designs submitted to the I-195 Redevelopment District Commission. There was one clear winner, garnering nearly 50% of the vote. The pointy towers of the proposed Providence Art and Design Center. 2 buildings with striking facades with a split in the middle that would function as a pedestrian street, taking inspiration from pedestrian malls such as Church Street Marketplace in Burlington, Vermont. The project would be apartments on top of retail. Coming in second with 20%, of the vote was a design inspired by the pedestrian bridge for a combination hotel and condos above retail with smooth lines and a wood facade. While the winning design had pointy towers, the runner up was much squatter in appearance. The next commission meeting is scheduled for November 13th. What is the proposed Providence Art and Design Center about? The proposed Providence Art and Design Center would be two buildings connected on an upper floor at one end with a pedestrian walkway and mall connecting South Water and South Main Streets. Each end would be anchored by tall gables. What the winning designer says. Project architect Andrew Keating, principal of Wade Keating, said they wanted to create a design that is anti the normal podium blocky box as possible. Podium refers to a steel or concrete podium topped with a wood frame construction. A wood frame only construction can only go up a few floors, an example being Community Music Works' new building on Westminster Street. Providence Journal reporter Antonia Nuri Farzan wrote about Providence's bland architectural designs in the October 7th political scene in Legally Bland, Why Providence's much-needed new housing looks ugly and can't be fixed. She outlined why so many of Providence's new buildings are large, rectangular, flat-roofed boxes devoid of any of the slopes or curves that would add visual interest. Modern building codes prohibit narrower, slimmer buildings, and other materials are just too expensive. We're trying to do something that had a little bit more of the character and spirit and interest of Providence, Keating said. Those towers, or gables as Keating calls them, create little village areas, breaking the buildings into parts and making them more a part of the neighborhood. The parcel lends itself to two separate buildings, Keating said. A path between South Water and South Main Streets was one of the criteria outlined by the commission. You look at the site, and we saw you could really nest two buildings there efficiently with nice units and then have this inner pedestrian walkway between them, Keating said. That pedestrian walkway, or mall, is a proposed 24 feet wide, and the entire ground floor would be various kinds of retail, from art galleries to restaurants. The Boston Design Center and platform in Los Angeles were big sources of inspiration, where purveyors show off their wares in big showrooms. The developers, Ionic Development in Boston, are a small team, which means there is a fast feedback loop, and the group has experience with much larger projects, founder and CEO Caitlin McCarthy said. It's meant to be a flexible commercial space for grounding the art and design, Ionic Development's Vice President Brianna Pinheiro said. That is going to be the soul of the retail program. On Reddit, readers also liked the design, singling it out along with the number 2 design for a hotel and condos. One reader wrote, "Really like the Providence art and design, especially after seeing the in-depth renderings from above and throughout. Would be nice and different from what's commonly being constructed on the other parcels." While another reader was more ambivalent. As for the design, I really hated the gabled one at first, but it's growing on me now for how weird it is. Rearrange those windows and add some cornices. McCarthy said the idea of the building seemed to resonate with the community. It's always a bit of a risk when your design looks different than everybody else's design, and so we were definitely pleasantly surprised to see the community reaction. The runner-up channels the pedestrian bridge. The design that readers liked second best with 118 votes was created by ZDS Architecture and proposed by Blue Dog Capital Partners. While both the Ionic Development and Blue Dog Partners designs include a street connecting South Water and South Main Streets, Blue Dog Partners envisions it being used by cars instead of just pedestrians and as an easy access point for a proposed hotel. The building would be split between condos and a hotel. Next article by Antonia Nuri Farzan. Who decides what gets built in Providence? Here's what all the boards and commissions do. Who decides what gets built where in Providence and what it looks like? The answer can be complicated. In most parts of the city, major new developments just need the sign-off of the City Plan Commissioner and possibly the Zoning Board of Review. But in certain areas, the Historic District Commission, Downtown Design Review Committee, Capital Center Commission, or I-95 Redevelopment District Commission will be the ones to decide whether the project moves forward. Here's a breakdown of the various other boards and commissions that get a say on new construction and often changes to existing buildings. Citywide Review Boards. What does the City Plan Commission do? Comparable to other cities' planning boards, Providence City Plan Commission typically has to approve any major new developments or construction proposed in the city, except projects that fall under the purview of the I-195 Commission do not require CPC approval, or those under the purview of the Downtown Design Review Committee, except for subdivisions of the land. Here's what it does look at. A proposal for a 5-story building with apartments above a car repair shop on Elmwood Avenue, and a proposal to subdivide a 7,000 square foot lot in Silver Lake. How it works. When a project goes up for a vote, Providence Planning Department staff issue a report with their recommendations to the CPC. Staff routinely work with developers in the early stages of the process, providing feedback and suggestions before a proposal goes to the CPC for review. Traditionally, the design was not part of the CPC purview, but a new set of regulations went into effect in January that allow Commission members to take aesthetic questions into account. The CPC has 7 members, 5 of whom are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the City Council. The mayor and the City Council president can also serve ex officio or designate someone else to take their place. All members must be city residents. Of the 5 appointees who are confirmed by the council, at least 3 must have specific relevant experience, being experience in real estate, development, or finance, 1 member; experience in city planning, architecture, or urban design, 1 member; experience in human services or environmental sciences, 1 member. The current chair, Michael Gazdako, is the Director of Construction and Maintenance for Seasons Corner Market. 2 builders, an architect, and a real estate agent are also among the Commission's members. What does the Zoning Board of Review do? Here's what it looks at. New developments proposed in Providence often do not fully comply with the city's zoning ordinances and require a variance. That means that the Zoning Board and Review will have a say. Items on the agenda for the board's October meeting included a request for a mixed-use building with residential and retail units on Plainfield Street to have a rear setback of 10 feet instead of 20 feet. The board is made up of 5 regular members and 2 alternates. All must be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council. Current members include 2 attorneys, an architect, and the chief of staff to Pawtucket Mayor Dawn Greben. As with the CPC, plans get reviewed by professional staff before going to the board for a vote. What does the Building Board of Review do? Here's what it looks at. The 5-member Building Board of Review is like the Zoning Board of Review, except that it deals with projects that require an exemption to the state building code. An example from October's docket, a request for a staircase's risers to deviate from the standard required height. The board's members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council. The city charter states that its makeup must include a civil engineer, an architect, a mechanical engineer, a licensed electrician, and a builder. Location-specific review boards. Historic District Commission. Roughly 2,600 properties are located in Providence's 8 local historic districts, which are found in areas such as College Hill along Broadway, around the Cranston Street Armory, and in Elmwood. That translates to roughly between 5% and 7% of the city, according to the Providence Preservation Society. Here's what it does. Any new construction in those historic districts needs the approval of the Historic District Commission, and do all but the most minor changes to the exteriors of existing buildings. Paint colors, however, are not subject to review. An example. In a typical month, requests to install new storm windows and solar panels make up the bulk of the HDC's agenda. What else? Large land development projects and subdivisions within historic districts also have to be reviewed by the CPC, according to Providence Deputy Planning Director Bob Iser. The HDC has 12 members, 10 appointed by the mayor and 2 by the city council. They aren't strictly required to have any relevant expertise, but they often do. Current members of the commission include 2 architects, an event designer, a real estate agent, and a former head of the Rhode Island Historical Preservation and Heritage Commission. Confusingly, Providence is also home to 31 National Register historic districts, which cover a much larger portion of the city. There's some overlap, but it's common for properties to be located in a National Historic District, but not a city designated historic district. In that scenario, the HDC does not have oversight. Construction projects in National Historic Districts aren't subject to any additional review or scrutiny unless they receive some form of government support, such as federal or state tax credits. In that case, the state's Historic Preservation Office would get a say on the proposal. Downtown Design Review Committee. Here's what it does. As the name implies, the Downtown Design Review Committee covers the downtown area from Orm Street down to Point Street. Major new construction and alterations to existing buildings are both part of the purview. Other smaller projects get reviewed administratively by Providence Planning Department staff. An example, a proposal to replace a ground floor window on the historic Turk's Head building with a door that can serve as a cafe entrance and plans for a new 30-story high-rise on Atwells Avenue. The DDRC has 7 members, 1 representing the HDC and the rest appointed by the mayor. Current members include 2 well-known developers, Chris Marcella and Gary Garabedian, and several architects. Capital Center Commission. Providence's Capital Center Commission was established in the 1980s and oversaw the transformation of the area around the State House and the Amtrak station, including the construction of Providence Place Mall. Here's what it does. Any new construction or alterations to existing buildings proposed on the 15 privately owned parcels that make up the Capital Center Special Development District must be approved by the Commission and its subcommittee, the Capital Center Design Review Committee. Decades after the Commission was created, most of those parcels have been developed. The house, the G-Tech building, now officially the IGT Center, the Renaissance Providence Downtown Hotel, and the headquarters for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island, to name a few examples. City Hall is in favor of dissolving the CCC in order to have a more consistent regulatory structure in downtown. The draft of Providence's new comprehensive plan states, local ordinance state that when that happens, the area will become part of the DDRC's jurisdiction. One of the only agenda items in the Commission's last meeting in August was the Bristol County Savings Bank's request to install a freestanding clock sign on Exchange Street. The Design Review Committee has not met once this year. The Commission is made up of 13 members, including 4 appointed by the governor, 4 appointed by the mayor, and 4 appointed by the chair of the Providence Foundation. I-195 Redevelopment District Commission. Unlike the other boards and committees mentioned here, the 195 Commission, as it's commonly known, is a state commission rather than a city commission. Here's what it does. It's responsible for figuring out how to redevelop the land freed up by moving I-195, more than 26 acres in total, mostly concentrated in the Jewelry District and around South Water Street. New construction projects proposed on the undeveloped parcels need to be approved by the Commission, which has its own zoning and planning guidelines. They do not require additional approvals from the city and do not need to comply with Providence's zoning ordinances. An example. Currently, the Commission is considering 9 competing proposals for the empty lot at the corner of Wickenden, South Water, and Main Streets. The Commission's 7 members are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the state Senate. Currently, it's primarily made up of figures from the business world, plus 1 retired union leader. The State Commerce Secretary and the Providence's Planning Director also hold ex officio seats on the Commission. Next article by Gail Champa. Why did the chicken go to college? Get the answer and more in the latest Rhode Island food news. The week's news includes some good chicken talk. Yes, chickens. They are part at Johnson and Wales University, Harborside campus now, and will be cared for as part of the education of students. There's also an offer you shouldn't refuse, either for yourself or to help someone in need. It comes from Farm Fresh Rhode Island, one of the state's best and most delicious nonprofits. If you are looking to do some pre Thanksgiving holiday shopping, there's a big 2-day event planned in Providence. Read all about it. Harvest news. Farm Fresh Rhode Island is working with the local community to donate Thanksgiving harvest boxes full of locally grown produce to the West End Community Center this season. Their goal is to donate a total of 400 boxes, which will feed around 3,000 people this holiday season. Short of a turkey, the Thanksgiving harvest boxes feature everything a family of 8 needs for a Thanksgiving meal, including fresh herbs, a wide variety of locally grown vegetables, and a pumpkin pie from Wright's Dairy Farm and Bakery. Boxes are $85 each for purchase or to donate, and the order form closes on Friday, November 15th. Anyone interested in donating boxes or purchasing them for their own holiday feast can learn more at farmfreshri.org/Thanksgiving 2024. Included are baby Bella mushrooms from Rhode Island Mushroom Co., Brussels sprouts from Ward's Berry Farm, butternut squash from Ferrelbank Farms, carrots and parsnips from Four Town Farms, delicata squash, onions, sweet and white potatoes from Shartner Farms, shallots from Zephyr Farms, fresh herbs from Allen Farms, and cranberry sauce made by Harvest Kitchen in Pawtucket. Advance tickets for the Good Trade are available online now for $8 in advance and $10, if not sold out in advance, at the door at goodtrademakersmarket.com. Ticket prices include a beverage from the sponsors, including a small cocktail from Inside Voices Bar. Visit at Good Trade Markers Market on Instagram for daily vendor announcements, ticket updates, and other event details. And that will be all for the Providence Journal on October 23rd, 2024.